In the last few weeks, my wife, 28 of 2 years, has undergone a radical transformation. It's like she's a different person now. 3 weeks ago, everything was hunky-dory, and I was on top of the world, thinking my relationship with my wife was on a roll. We were even discussing honeymoon plans and adopting another dog. But then, Friday came like a wrecking ball. I had an inkling that something was off, and even voiced it to my mother during a phone conversation. That night, out of nowhere, my wife sent me a text saying she needed space. She told me to respect her decision and turned off her phone. When she finally returned, she said she had spent the night in her car at an empty lot. I was surprised but didn't want to push her too hard. However, I made it clear that her behavior was not acceptable and couldn't happen again. But it was like she was a different person, talking about not wanting kids, being career-focused, and wanting out of our relationship. The craziest thing she said was that she feared we would cheat on each other in the future. It was completely unexpected. Lots of stuff went down after that, like her needing some space. So bad that she left the state for 2 whole weeks. And last night I discovered that she crashed at her instructor's place after catching a flick together, and there was even a picture of them hanging out. The kicker? I was the one who got her into this career, and if it wasn't for me, she wouldn't have even met the guy. I haven't talked to her about it yet, but I'm working hard to piece everything together. It seems like she's trying to pin all of our problems on me, claiming that I'm controlling and verbally offensive. I've been trying to figure out where I went wrong, but I can't seem to find anything to support her claims. In fact, I was the one who suggested she seek therapy, but somehow that translated to me calling her names in her mind. It's all very confusing. I made it clear to my wife that communication was crucial, especially when she shut off her phone and disappeared for more than 3 weeks. She accuses me of being controlling even though I didn't stop her from leaving. To make matters worse, she secretly recorded me and believes that these recordings are evidence of me mentally offending her. I listened to the recordings with my counselor, and he didn't find any evidence of offensive behavior on my part. In fact, he was impressed with how composed and level-headed I was during the discussion. Despite all of this, there's no excuse for her cheating and mistreatment towards me. Right now, I'm still in the phase of figuring things out, letting her do what she wants while I gather all the information. It's not easy, especially when the person I was head over heels for has turned our lives upside down in just a matter of weeks. I can't even put into words how I feel at the moment. Thankfully, I have amazing parents and a great support system. However, this experience has given me a glimpse of what heartbreak feels like, and I never want to go through this again. Update on my situation. My wife is coming back this week with her parents to grab her stuff and finalize the end of our marriage, which is fine with me. I still haven't confronted her about the affair yet, and I'm struggling to figure out the right time and place to do it. Should I do it in front of her parents or just the 2 of us? Should I pour out my heart or simply state the facts? Oh, and just to clarify, our state doesn't assign blame for divorces. I had a complete change of heart towards her when I found out about the affair, and she's now struggling. Her parents came to town last week, and we finally had a discussion. I decided not to bring up the affair in front of her parents, but during the conversation, I caught her in several lies. I spoke to her in a calm and apologetic tone, even though she was accusing me of treating her badly since we got married. She never brought up these issues before. She also twisted my words and accused me of emotionally offending her. Luckily, my mother was present and called her out on her lies, since my mom was present in some of those previous discussions. What helped me stay strong during the conversation was not expecting any reconciliation or regret, and having a plan of action for the encounter. During our discussion, I had 2 main objectives in mind. Firstly, I wanted to expose her childish behavior and the fact that she was mentally unstable when she was making baseless accusations against me, all while making sure that my own character was protected. Secondly, I wanted to emphasize to her father that it was crucial for her to see a therapist or counselor and work on her issues. The conversation wrapped up with my wife storming out of the room, leaving me, my mother, and her father to talk things out. Her father's emotional response said a lot about the situation, and his first words were, "I'm sorry, man," with tears in his eyes, as he considered me to be like a son to him, It was a painful realization for him. I, too, was moved by his words, and I told him that I love his daughter, but I need to let her go for my own mental health. I revealed the affair to him, and he understood my position. I emphasized the need for her to face consequences for her actions, as she has yet to do so, and urged him to encourage her to see a therapist. He agreed with me and mentioned that he had been trying to get her to go for a while, but she's been resistant. Despite the difficult nature of the conversation, I felt that I achieved my 2 goals and found comfort in the fact that my father-in-law was understanding of the situation. The following day, when I returned home from work, I noticed my wife moving some of her belongings out of the house. I wanted to be present to ensure that she didn't take any of my stuff. During our conversation, we talked about her future plans, and I discovered that she planned to continue working, despite the fact that I can't believe her job hasn't let her go yet. She mentioned that she would attempt to improve her ratings and become a flight instructor, which made me curious as to why she was interested in that. Interestingly, we had a cordial discussion, and I even repaired a component on her car. I inquired where she planned to live after I saw her moving out her belongings, and she replied that her parents would give her their RV and she would stay at an RV park. I expressed my confusion about her decision and asked her why she was doing this. She replied that she was content with her job and the place where she worked made her happy. I then mustered the courage to ask her if she was having an inappropriate relationship with AP, but she avoided eye contact and denied it. Knowing full well that she was lying, I confronted her with evidence by asking about specific events, like who she was talking to for 90 minutes at 11 p.m. during a bachelorette party in June. I showed her a call record, and she eventually admitted that the number in her phone belonged to AP by typing it out, which was pretty comical. She kept trying to dodge the accusation by saying things like, "I didn't have closeness, check down there, I don't even like being close," even though she actually does, and "he works odd hours," I had a question about flying. I remained firm and composed and advised her that it would be better if she just came clean. It was like watching a grown woman act like a kid who got caught in a fib. It was shocking when my wife asked if I wanted to involve her parents, but I agreed. However, even before I could show them any evidence, her mother started making excuses for her daughter's behavior. She suggested that maybe it was a prank call, or that it happened after we started having problems, which wasn't true. I tried to reason with her, and asked if she could look at the situation objectively and acknowledge that there might have been an inappropriate relationship going on. But her mother refused to answer, and accused me of trying to manipulate her. They all stormed out of my house, and her mother made a snide remark about hoping I wouldn't treat the next girl like I did her daughter. It was a messed up family dynamic, and her father didn't say anything the whole time. He looked completely overwhelmed by dealing with both his wife and daughter. After some time, my wife sent me a text saying that AP is actually one of her closest friends, and she was really struggling at that time, even though we were not actually separated. In other words, she was admitting to cheating on me. She then suggested that we should discuss this matter with our lawyers present. However, I pointed out that she had committed a serious crime by secretly recording our conversations without my consent, so involving lawyers would not be wise. I haven't spoken to her since Thursday, but thanks to the help of everyone on here, the situation has taken a dramatic turn. The final thing I want to bring up is that on Sunday morning, I noticed my wife went to church, something she hasn't done with me in a while, even though we used to go all the time. After that, she took a long drive of around 500 miles to nowhere, and then went back to her Airbnb. I haven't seen any suspicious activity from her recently, either because she's being cautious now or because she's realized the gravity of her mistakes. I believe her when she says that she didn't have any physical closeness with the other guy. But at this point, it doesn't matter, because I already have all the evidence I need. I've already filed for divorce, and she'll be getting served within the next couple of weeks. I haven't spoken to my soon-to-be ex-wife since around August 5th, which has been about 2 weeks. During this time, she has been served divorce papers and responded through her lawyer. However, yesterday, she attempted to contact me and claimed that she knew how I found out about her affair. I haven't done anything illegal to discover her wrongdoing, and she is probably going crazy over the fact that I haven't contacted her and she doesn't know how much I know. Then she threatened me by saying that she will call the police or my commander, since I'm in the military, if I don't reveal how I found out. This morning, she even asked me for $1,000 in spousal support, which seems like a total scam. I know she's working and staying with the guy she cheated on me with, so she doesn't really need the money. I'm just trying to stay strong and keep my distance from her as much as possible. Great news is that the threats and blackmail have stopped. The not-so-great news is that my STBXW unblocked me on text and wants to see our dog at a local dog park. I had told her before that I would let her see the dog, but now I'm worried that this will stir things up again and she'll start making threats again. I've been enjoying the no contact and using that time to focus on myself, hang out with friends, and make progress each day. However, once I agreed to let her see our dog, all the emotions started to resurface. Thoughts like, what if she wants to come back? Or maybe she's realizing her mistake, or will she apologize, started popping up. So I decided to indulge in some pain shopping and checked her entire search history on our shared computer. But honestly, I didn't find what I was expecting. Over the past year, there have been many searches on our shared computer about topics like, why do I shut down? Is it selfish to end things? And how to date a girl who has been offended. I was anticipating finding searches related to her affair, but it seems like she might have deleted those. However, after seeing her search history, I felt sympathy for her again, even though I'm in the process of cutting off the relationship and getting a divorce. I'm still doing better than before, but now I'm in a confusing situation because I'll see her at the dog park on Saturday. I have no desire to get back together with her, but it's obvious that my STBXW has some serious mental health issues that she hasn't addressed. There's nothing I can do at this point except stick to no contact/gray rock during necessary communication because my STBXW is no longer my responsibility. Over the weekend, I went to the dog park with my STBXW to spend some time with our dog. As advised by people on this platform and my cousin, I brought someone along with me. Unfortunately, our dog got attacked by another dog just 5 minutes after we arrived, and we had to take him to the vet. Thankfully, he's doing okay, but he did lose a nail. Interestingly, this incident brought us together to talk about things. I had already filed for divorce, and she responded by asking for temporary relief and an unreasonable amount of support. When we were at the vet, I was doing my best to stay emotionally neutral and not engage too much in conversation. But then she asked about my living arrangements when I moved to California. I told her I'll be living with a mutual friend who had also been cheated on by his fiancée. She was concerned about our dog's living situation, so we started talking about how to move forward from here. I got her to see that her decision to cut off communication was causing more problems for her than for me. After I asked her directly, she admitted that I wasn't the terrible person she had made me out to be, and that I was actually a good person. I also asked her why she didn't go to counseling with me before I found out about the affair. She said she had already made up her mind, and nobody could influence her. The best part of the conversation was that we agreed to reach an agreement outside of court and eliminate the temporary relief hearing. She even deleted an Instagram post about removing toxic people from her life, started receiving online therapy, going to church, and reconnecting with her family. I told her that I didn't think our marriage could be saved in the state it's in now, and she agreed. But she also agreed to be amicable about the divorce. Since our marriage was so short, she knew she wouldn't get much in the divorce, and she would rather finish it quickly for her emotional well-being. I spoke to my lawyer, and he advised me to keep talking to her and keep things amicable so we can reach a settlement without going to court. This week has been a refreshing change from my usual situation, but the Labor Day weekend was particularly tough. My dog started behaving differently, with more severe separation anxiety after my STBXW abandoned us for 2 months. He chewed on the door and peed all over the house even when I was gone for just an hour. It hurt me to see him in so much pain after she left because we adopted him with the understanding that she would help care for him since she didn't work full-time. But after she left, I had to make all the sacrifices to take care of him, such as taking long lunch breaks to let him out and paying for a dog sitter. On Monday, when she came to pick up more of her belongings, she also took the dog with her. While I love our dog, it feels like a huge weight has been lifted off my shoulders now that I don't have to worry about his anxiety and that she has taken responsibility for him. We had another conversation, and it left me feeling much better. We had a conversation where I asked her how her teletherapy was going. She told me it was hard not being able to talk to someone in person, so I suggested she try going to see a counselor in person since she is still under my health care until the divorce is final. This was the first time I suggested it, and she didn't get mad. In fact, she thanked me for the suggestion. We then talked about the situation as a whole, and I mentioned that I had noticed a change in her behavior a few weeks before she left, cheated on me, and went off the deep end. She wasn't eating, sleeping well, had strange dreams, and couldn't hold a conversation. She admitted she had those issues, but she was still getting the sequence of events wrong. She looked really unhealthy, with short hair, underweight, and her face looked lifeless. I didn't find this woman attractive at all, even though she used to be gorgeous. Our last exchange went like this. She said, "In a few years, you will meet someone who is so special and will be the person you're meant to be with. I just could never be that girl for you." I replied, "You always were that girl. You just didn't see it in yourself." Little did I know that was exactly what I needed to hear. She was admitting that her self-esteem was so low that she thought she didn't deserve me or our life together. That's why she left and went to someone who she believed was beneath her. It's really sad that someone can be that messed up. But after all the hate, deceit, and lies, it was refreshing to finally hear her say what I suspected all along. Despite proceeding with our divorce, we have agreed to amicably split our assets instead of dragging out a long court case, which is better for both of us. Looking back, I would have gotten her into therapy the moment she started exhibiting symptoms, but I understand that it's difficult to recognize mental illness if you haven't dealt with it before. Update. Okay, let me tell you about something that's been going on in my life lately. Recently, she gave our dog back to me, but he was infested with fleas. She then asked me if I could take care of him again, and we ended up having a good conversation about it. As you might recall from my story, she had an affair with her flight instructor, while I was supporting her financially and educationally in her flying lessons. Since I'm already a pilot, I had my suspicions that her cheating was triggered by her struggles in flying. It's likely that her instructor suggested that she should spend more money on flying to improve, which is why she asked me for more money, even though she was already flying for 3 hours a week and spending around $750 per week. When I refused to give her more money because it wasn't the right decision for our family, she might have decided to use her body to get free lessons instead. Last Friday, she told me she quit flying because it was too expensive and she needed to focus on getting her mind right. It seems like she gave up on the whole reason she cheated on me in the first place. Also, I suspect that she and the person she cheated on me with are no longer together because she mentioned that she's currently staying on a pull-out bed in a house with 6 people and 2 dogs. Apparently, she's living with a coworker who's in her 40s and recently divorced, and now living with her parents. In just 2 months, my wife's life has drastically changed. She went from having a luxurious life with no work, supported by me and my financing her flight training, and we even had our own airplane, to living in a cramped house with 6 people, barely scraping by with her new job. Another one of her dreams, becoming a flight attendant at a major airline, was also given up on. Despite being called back to work in July, she turned it down. When I asked her about it, she said she wouldn't feel comfortable running into my friends who work there. She still hasn't shown any remorse, and I believe she still thinks I'm responsible for her actions. But the reality is hitting her hard now. I've been trying to encourage her to seek mental health help without her taking it out on me, and we've agreed to settle our divorce outside of court, which is a good thing for me in this situation. Yesterday was my birthday, and I feel grateful to have an amazing family and friends who wished me well and have been supporting me throughout this ordeal. The funniest thing my ex said to me was, "You can keep all our mutual friends." She's aware that she messed up big time, and is too embarrassed to face people who know what she did. In a little over a month, I'll be moving across the country for my military service, and I'm excited to start a new and great life there. My only hope is that my soon-to-be ex-wife gets the help she needs, because it seems like she's spiraling out of control and might not recover from this. It's been a hot minute since I, 27M, gave an update on my situation, but I finally made the move from Florida to California, and I'm ready to start anew. I've been thinking a lot about the fallout from her 29F cheating, and it's crazy to see how much damage it's caused. We had a sweet house in a great area with a cute pup, and now she's living in a dump her parents bought her in a sketchy part of town. Meanwhile, I'm crashing with a roommate in Cali while I wait for the divorce settlement to wrap up. I realized pretty quickly that trying to discuss the settlement was a waste of time. Every time we tried to come to an agreement, she'd flip-flop and decide to trust her lawyer and demand $120K, even though we were only married for 2.5 years. It was frustrating, because I kept hoping she would go back to being the loving partner I knew. But instead, she was this vicious, dishonest, and manipulative person. Thankfully, I've gotten better at spotting her lies and tricks, and I'm not going to let myself get trapped in that cycle anymore. My hope is that we can settle things through mediation in December, but I'm not even sure that's going to work out anymore. Recently, a friend of mine showed me her Facebook profile, which I'm blocked from. Saw that she had been posting passive-aggressively about emotional offenses and how one should leave a relationship when feeling emotionally offended. This is the opposite of what I was in our relationship, and it hurt me to see that, especially since she never mentioned any of these issues to me. I now realize that she's rewriting our history to others, which makes it all the more important to cut off contact with her. Seeing what she's been posting was painful, but I won't let it continue to affect me now that I know who she truly is. I remember all the times I sat with her, listened to her issues, and tried to calm her down when she was upset about trivial matters. It's all useless now, as she has a personality disorder that can only be resolved if she decides to seek help. I have no idea what the future holds, but I'm excited to close this chapter of my life and start a new one. If anyone is dealing with someone like this, I suggest getting out as soon as possible. These kinds of people have the emotional intelligence of a 4-year-old, always blame others for their problems, and refuse to take responsibility for their actions. It's like putting your hand in a snake's cage. Once it bites you, you shouldn't keep it there. Hey there. It's been a minute since I gave you all an update on my life, and let me tell you, things have changed drastically. Let me tell you, I'm seeing my ex in a whole new light. I can't really blame her BPD anymore. I'm seeing her for the terrible, deceitful, and hurtful person she truly is. It took some time for me to get over the trauma she put me through, but after a few months of tears and sadness, I finally got back on track. I even got to fly my airplane with my dad and took a trip to Vegas with some friends and did some skiing. I also started a new job, which was a great distraction. Then in December, we finally reached a divorce agreement through mediation, and while I'm not thrilled about having to pay her, it's worth every penny to finally rid myself of her toxicity for good. And guess what? This week I received some amazing news. I got accepted into pilot training. It's something I've tried and failed at before, but I didn't give up, and it has finally paid off. I don't know what's next for me, but going through this tough relationship and divorce has surely prepared me for better days ahead. I want to share this with anyone out there who's going through a rough time. There's always a reason why you're going through it, and trust me, life will eventually get better. I am so grateful for all the support and encouragement I've received from this community during my darkest moments.